Hello everyone. You just attempted the paper for BCR and we have the solution ready for you. Yes, we have it. And let us quickly have a look at what did this paper have and how have you answered it so far. Well, let's begin with question number 7, which is compulsory. The remaining 4 questions, that is question 8, 9, 10 and 11, you could have opted for any 3 of the other 4. The question number 7, which was on reading comprehension, it was undoubtedly a little lengthy one. It did cover 5 marks for you, 2 plus 1 plus 2, and all the 3 questions were descriptive based. So let's look at the answers, which probably could have been the right ones. Here, for question number 7, the question number 7, the first question talked about the reasons behind the employees quitting the organization after acquiring the higher qualifications. So here we had to tell them what could be the possible reasons, and I have listed down 2 here. The first one could be lack of opportunity to put their newly acquired knowledge to use. If you have read the paragraph thoroughly, you'd realize that it said that though employees had access to the education policy of reimbursement and they could claim as high as 90% of the total amount spent on it, yet the ones who have availed this policy, they were either from the middle management or the lower management, and yet they could not be absorbed into the organization. Second one could be lax policy pertaining to retention after reimbursing the cost incurred to get additional qualifications. Now, let's say an employee, they've given an example of Mr. Kumar. So we've got an example of an employee who got the additional qualification. He also got the amount reimbursed, but after that, the current policy doesn't stop anyone from leaving the organization. Yes, it does stop them from availing this plan before they complete 3 years of their employment with the organization, but nothing after getting the reimbursement. So these two seems to be the possible reasons as to why employees quit organization after they have acquired higher qualification. Okay. Then we had question number 2, which sought your suggestion whether you believe that the current policy of education of reimbursement needs to be amended, or do you feel that it could be scrapped? Well, here the answer could have been yes, there is a need to amend the current education policy of reimbursement. For the reason there is a high attrition rate. The clause suggested by Mr. Ramesh, who's currently handling the HR, it could be to let only those employees avail the benefit of the policy who are willing to serve the organization after being duly reimbursed should be put into practice with immediate effect. Mr. Ramesh himself did suggest this as an option. He said that it should either be the current education policy of reimbursement should either be stopped, or they should bring into practice that the employee should serve a minimum period of 3 years after they are reimbursed. So, yes, uh, without scrapping off the entire policy, there is something else that could be done, and it is this. If the amendment is brought in, only those employees who will agree to it, agree to the clauses of serving the organization, even after they've got their cost of education reimbursed, should be allowed to avail such benefits. The others shouldn't. And the last question, which was for 2 marks, was based on this. Uh, let's say they've asked that what do you suggest could be a remedy to curb such high employment attrition rate? Well, in that case, this is what I believe. Uh, I've given you 3 suggestions here. The first one is something what we see in the passage. It is to get the employees claiming reimbursement under education policy to sign a bond to continue serving the organization for a minimum period of 3 years after getting the reimbursement. So yes, this is clearly very effective and doable solution. Now, what if the solution is not agreed upon? Do we have any other options? Yes, probably. See, answers to these questions are subjective. You may have a varied opinion and you may have written a different answer. And if it is within the periphery of the question asked, it would be admissible. The second suggestion that I had to make was this. Also, company may reduce the amount reimbursed. They reimburse as high as 90% right now. They could either lower it down or they can offer sabbatical leave. Now, what do you understand by sabbatical? It is a kind of leave which the company provides to the employee. They may not be paid, but they can carry out any activity that they like. Like they can use this period of leave to finish their education, and in turn the company promises them that you would have employment once you come back to our organization. So here a kind of confirmation is given to the employee that you can go on leave for a long leave. It's not just a leave of a month or two, but it is a long leave, and the employee in turn has the job secured with him while he comes back after completing certain qualification that he wanted to pursue. The third suggestion here could be companies should focus on creating employment opportunity at middle and top level for the ones who are now better qualified after availing the education policy. It is written in the paragraph that this policy has been a hit with the employees of the company. Now, the lower and the middle management employees who have been availing this policy, once they return back to the organization, what happens with them? Well, they are not being able to find any opportunity where they can put their skills to use because there is no job opportunity for them. So that is what company can focus and can create an environment where such people can be absorbed easily so that the attrition rate can be brought into control. So with this, we complete question number 7A, that is based on reading comprehension. Let's have a look at question number 7B. Now, question number 7B relates to note making. Here they've given us a paragraph on recycling and they've expected us to write a note using headings, subheadings and abbreviation wherever necessary, and along with that we have to write a summary. So all in all this accounts to 5 other marks. Reading comprehension was for 5, note making. The organization as ICI has not moved away from the routine pattern. It has allotted 5 marks for note making as well. So the entire passage was based on recycling. Yeah. Let's see what could be the probable answer to the question. This is question 7B, which is based on note making. This is for 3 marks. Okay, so we had to give a heading. This is the heading that I've chosen, recycling and its benefits. I've chosen an easy one, something if you cannot think else of, this should do. Because the entire paragraph, the entire passage discussed about how recycling can benefit us and why should it be done. So we cannot have a lengthy title, but a short title which covers the important part of the content discussed. So I have divided this into subheadings 1, 2 and 3 because there were 3 paragraphs. The first one dealt with recycling and its importance. These were the things said: to reuse the items, conserve natural resources, conserve trees, recycle paper products. This is the first paragraph. The second one, recycling waste, because here they talk a lot about it helps saving energy. Recycle plastic or paper waste because it helps in once again conserving natural resources. Then we've got reduce water and air pollution. Because you recycle waste, it helps in reducing water and air pollution. No toxic gases are released, and if certain things are used in a manner which can actually help not to use raw material again and again, which would ultimately deplete the resources that we have. So here it also talks about preservation. So it benefits natural environment and humans. It helps in preserving rainforests. It reduces the need for raw material, and recycling requires lesser energy as compared to starting or manufacturing something from the scratch. This is the key used. So this is what you need to have in place. And here's the summary. The summary was for 2 marks. It states that recycling is reusing waste and other products such as paper and plastic so as to conserve natural environment and reduce pollution of air and water, which is created while manufacturing new things and in absence of proper waste disposal system. It also helps in preserving trees and rainforests. Recycling requires less energy, which needs to be conserved for the future generations. Right? So see, basically a summary is something where you capture the absolute important points of each of the paragraphs and put it for the reader to read and understand what the entire passage must be about. Now let's move on to question number 7C. Pardon, it's question number 8 now. So question number 8, this is what it states. We have to tell them. This question is once again a beginning for chapter number 1, which is based on communication. Yeah, it says body language speaks the truth while speaker may play with words to hide the truth. Comment. It is for 2 marks. Here it is. See, this is something that describes what body language is. An individual's body language, that is facial expressions, stance, gestures, tone of voice, touch and other physical signals, constitute this type of communication. For instance, leaning forward may mean friendliness, acceptance and interest, while crossing arms can be interpreted as antagonist or defensive posture. So it describes what body language is. So we have defined it here. And then they've asked, what words the person who's doing the talking may hide the true intention by his words, but he cannot actually hide it through his body language. So this is how we justified. Research estimates that physical non-verbal communication accounts for 55% of all communication. Smiles, frowns, pursing of lips, clenching of hands transmit emotions which are not expressed through verbal communication. If you wish, you may write an example here. A person who may be um, in a bad mood and when asked, "How are you?" may just tell you, "Oh, I'm fine." But if you look at his face, if you look at him, if you observe him closely, you would also realize that the person is not really well. The words, they convey a message that yes, the person is fine, but his actions, his body language doesn't say so. Question number 8B is a question based on vocab. Let's look at that now. Okay, here question 8B 1. It says that choose the word which best expresses the meaning of the given word. Scintillating, you have to choose a synonym for the word. Here the correct answer is glittering, because here touching and warming has nothing to do with scintillating. Something that is glittery, glowy, smoldering means something that is combusting, or it's a kind of a fire, but it is without the flames. It is just a smoky fire. Then you'd say it's smoldering. We also often use smoldering with regards to a smoldering look, something that can burn you. Yeah. So here the right answer is glittering. Next word, we have got fidelity. And here with the fidelity, we have to find an antonym. Okay. Read the instructions carefully. I must have said it a number of times, and the ones who've missed reading the instruction may be in a bit of a trouble. Fidelity stands for trust. It stands for loyalty. So if you look at the words commitment, ambitious, devotion, here commitment and devotion, they could be in the synonymous family of fidelity. So we are left with two options. It could be inconstancy or it could be ambitious. Now, see, inconstancy, I would mark this as the right answer because it means that something that is fickle, something that changes continuously. It could also be feelings for the other person. I may feel in love one day and the other day I am not in love any longer. So there my feelings are fickle, they are inconsistent. Now the next one, third, we have to change this sentence into indirect speech. The sentence is Varun said every kid should learn coding. We do not know who Varun is, but he makes a statement. So when converting direct into indirect speech, we remove the inverted commas, we remove the comma, and we use that. Simply, Varun said that every kid should learn coding. Okay. The next question is on Pressy writing. This entire passage dealt with the problems a person may face while plugging in the earphone for a longer period of time. And it's not the problem just the person may face, it's also about how others are put into difficult situations because of them. So let's have a look at the Pressy. This paragraph has 30 lines and each line on an average would have 10 words. So we are looking at a passage of 300 words. So ideally a Pressy writing, what do we do is we cut the length to 1/3 of the passage. So you must have 10 lines with 10 words into it. That's approximately 100 words. Okay. So here I have, we'll read it through quickly. Earphones have become an indispensable part of our everyday life despite the risks involved. From workman to executive, it has become a common thing for all. Whether it is to shut people, to look cool, or to gain a sense of independence is worth thinking over. An electrician who had come to repair iron, who was engrossed with his earphone, plugged in one of the ear and missed out on hearing the problem with iron, which remained almost in the same state even after the repair. So there were two incidents described. The first one where an electrician would come to the house and he was asked to repair the iron. The problem was related to was shared with him, but because he had a earphone plugged into one of his ear, he could not understand the problem well, and even after he left, the iron still did not work. The second one, before that, it is not to resent one using earphone for leisure, but insensitivity to other matters around can be dangerous. Like they've said that while listening to music while traveling in a metro can be dangerous. While crossing the road could also be dangerous. So there is no problem with one listening to something or using a earphone, but then you should not be insensitive. Okay, in another incident, a train approaching its last station had fewer passengers and a duffel bag with no sign of its owner nearby. Later, a young man who had earphones plugged in and was leaning against the compartment door until the last moment came to collect the bag. He was, in fact, listening to loud music without a care. And the others who were traveling in the train with him, they had a thought that it could have a bomb in it. So, another case of being insensitive. Now question number 9. Yeah, question 9A is about formal communication. You have to explain what is formal communication, and in its alternate, they've also asked, as an alternative, you could choose this question: encoding the matter is an important element of communication. Commence. Well, let's look at both the answers here. Formal communication, both oral and written, follows certain rules, principles, and conventions in conveying the message. The hierarchy in the organization has to be followed. Formal format, style, and language have to be used. So this is a matter where it is discussed using formal format, style, and language because it pertains to any matter that pertains to business or something that is formal in nature. There are three types: vertical, horizontal, or diagonal, and we have described all these three with one single line. This is the other question where we are talking about encoding. So in order to convey meaning, the sender must begin encoding, which means translating information into message in the form of symbols that represent ideas or concepts. This process translates the ideas or concepts into the coded messages that will be communicated. The symbols can take on numerous forms such as languages, words, or gestures. These symbols are used to encode ideas into messages that others can understand. When encoding a message, the sender has to begin by deciding what he or she wants to transmit. This decision by the sender is based on what he or she believes about the receiver's knowledge and assumptions, along with the additional information he wants the receiver to have. It is important for the sender to use symbols that are familiar to the intended receiver. A good way for a sender to improve encoding their message is to mentally visualize the communication from the receiver's point of view. So this highlights that why it is essential to have a message encoded, because you would want it to be done in a manner that the receiver would also understand the meaning of it, right? Okay, let's look at now question number 9B. Here it is. Once again, we are dealing with vocab. Choose a word which best expresses the meaning of the given word. And the word here is concise. Concise is brief, short, something crisp. Then we've got second one. Here we have to give the meaning of the word cryptic. There are four options: pertinent, common, mysterious, and loyalty. The correct answer here is mysterious. I could probably use it in a sentence like Thomas finds the clues given in the crossword puzzles quite cryptic and is unable to solve it. He finds it mysterious. Okay. And then we have a question where we have to change the sentence into indirect speech. Do you suppose you know better than your father? Jeered his angry mother. So here's a mother who's angry and she jeers, shouts, or belittles, insults the child, asking that do you suppose you know better than your own father? Now we have to convert this into direct speech. Sorry, to indirect speech. How do we do that? Here, this is how we do it. His angry mother jeered. And what did she do? She asked whether, see, because it is a question, we won't use that. Because it is an interrogative sentence, we don't use that. And asked whether he supposed that he knew better than his own father. This is how we do it. His angry mother jeered and asked whether he, from you, we change it to he. You could also write it she, that's fine. Whether he supposed that he knew better than his own father. Because we have supposed, see, with did, we never use the ed form, right? We cannot write did brought, that would be wrong. So what do we write is we did bring. Similarly, because we have used the word supposed here, we have not used the word did. Now the next question, question number 9C, is a report on project to interconnect rivers in India, which is to be published in a national newspaper. I understand for those of you who have not been connected with the news, not been keeping up with it, we find this topic a little difficult. Okay, here this is question number 9C. Now, this is an actual report which was published in one of the newspapers. I have changed the name, Project to Interconnect Rivers in India. They had interlinking of rivers as the title. The author is the same, Devjit Sinha, New Delhi. The date was for the month of March. I've just changed it for your reference. And if you look at the format, here we have got various paragraphs. We open with what is the project all about. The project comprises 14 rivers in the peninsular region and 16 rivers of the Himalayan origin. Then we say that who is the man behind it. So then we talk about Narendra Modi's government's involvement here and various other aspects. So there are facts presented. Then in the third paragraph, it talks about various rivers which are going to be linked. Now, it talks about 47 intrastate link proposals from 9 different states. Okay, and we conclude it. The ambitious project of interlinking of rivers is the long cherished dream of former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. The project comprises, this is a repetition, pardon, not needed. So we end with this. That's it. It's a report, nothing huge, nothing to be worried about. Just that we needed a title, which is compulsory. We need the name of the author. Rest is optional. You may have written down a place and the date. If not, it's okay. Let us have a look at question number 10A, which is based on explain how listening for understanding helps in communication. Here we are. Okay. We are bombarded by noise and sound in all our waking hours. We hear conversation. Difference between listening and hearing, yeah. Conversations, news, gossip, and many other forms of speech all the time. However, most of it is not listened to carefully and therefore not understood, partially understood, or probably misunderstood. A good listener does not only listen to the spoken words but observes carefully the non-verbal cues, reading between the lines. Reading between the line doesn't only happen in the text, but it also happens when you are with the other person. You try and understand what is he or she trying to communicate beyond the words. To understand the complete message, he absorbs the given information, processes it, understands its context and meaning, and to form an accurate, reasoned, intelligent response. The listener has to be objective, practical, and in control of his emotions. Often, the understanding of a listener is colored by his own emotions, judgments, opinions, and reactions to what is being said. While listening for understanding, we focus on the individual and his agenda. A perspective listener is able to satisfy a customer and suggest solution as per the needs of the client. Okay, question number 10b once again is based on grammar. So let's have a look at it. The first question is from active to passive voice. The crew cleaned the entire stretch of the highway. Okay, so let's look at the subject. Who's the doer of the action here? The crew. The crew did what? The crew cleaned the entire stretch of the highway. So this one and this, we alter the position. So we begin with the entire stretch of highway was cleaned. Now here the focus is on the action, on what was done rather than the doer of the action, and hence in passive voice by the crew, which is not the most important part of the sentence, comes at the end. You can also choose to omit this, but because we are given the subject here, let's try and not omit it. But even if you did so, it should be right. Next one is, we'll change this passive to active. The house was remodeled by the homeowners to help it sell. The house was remodeled by the homeowners. Who did the action? Homeowners. So now they become, here they are the doers, but put into the end. Now we'll bring them forth as the subject. The homeowners okay. Now what have they done is they have remodeled the house. The homeowners to help it sell. The homeowners remodeled the house to help it sell. And the last one is, we have to change direct into indirect speech. Now if you look at this statement, virtue is its own reward. What is it? It is a universal truth. Something that is an universal truth cannot be changed. So we cannot change the tense of the verb used here. All that will do is, here we have got Socrates said. What do we do is, we add the word that, remove the inverted commas, remove the comma, and we are sorted. Socrates said that virtue is its own reward, and done. Okay, now let's look at question number 10c. And question number 10c talks about an article on the pros and cons of online education in India. This is a sample article. The heading here should have been the pros and cons of online education in India. And then we write down a passage which talks about describing what online education is. You can also give some statistics if you have it handy and if they are accurate. Okay. Then you move on to the advantages, like learn from anywhere at any time. It saves money. You learn at your own pace. Uh, now there is a recognition of online degrees as well. So getting job is easy even on the basis of online education, which was not done beforehand. Then we also write down the disadvantages. Chances of distraction are very high. We know it better now, right? Fraudulent online courses. There are a lot of websites which come up with XYZ course, and once you pay the amount, they may not even take regular classes, or they may say that we have been approved by so and so authority, but they actually have not. So any certificate that you get from such institute would hold no value at all. And you cannot do courses that require labs or workshops. Naturally, something that needs hands-on practice cannot be done virtually. So these are the advantages. Once again, it is subjective. You may have to come up with a few advantages and disadvantages that you may have experienced. Now next, here, this is the last question on paper. Question number 11, explain wheel and spoke network in communication. An easy and a direct paper, I would say. Okay, will and spoke network. Draw the diagram always. You can fetch marks for the diagram and then explain it. It's an organization where there is single controlling authority who gives instruction and orders to all employees working under him or her. He's the one who connects with every single individual. All employees get instructions directly from the leader and report back to him. It is direct and efficient for a small business or company, but inappropriate way of communication in large organization with many people. Let's say an organization with 10,000 people, they may not be able to follow such a network of communication because it is impossible for one person to communicate with 10,000 people every single day. Okay. A company with many employees needs more decision makers or nothing would get done. Okay, we have given an example. Can Reliance or Tata Sons have one person making decisions? Probably not. Moreover, if the central figure is not competent, the entire business will suffer. So this is about wheel and spoke network. Then question number 11b, the idioms and phrases. Let's have a look at it. The first one, we have to give the correct meaning of the idiom or phrase. The first one is to be a mastermind. To be a mastermind, see, often the word mastermind relates to criminal activities, but it is not always that a criminal is the only mastermind. So it means that something that is done intelligently, something that follows through what was thought of and has a fruitful end. A person who can devise such strategies is said to be a mastermind. It means to be a pioneer. Okay, next question. At wit's end, you are perplexed. I don't know what would be asked in this year's CA examination. I am perplexed. I am at my wit's end. I cannot think about it any longer. And then we've got next question, which is change the sentence into passive voice. Will you tell me a story? Will you tell me a story? Will a story be told to me? By whom? By you. Not needed. You can leave that. Do not forget to put a question mark because we are changing from active to passive. We are not putting it from direct to indirect. So it doesn't become from interrogative. It doesn't end up being an assertive sentence. Okay. Then we've got, yeah, we have to write the meaning of the word combat. This I find could be a little problematic for certain students because the options are quite nearby: conflict, quarrel, feud, and fight. Now, if you look at conflict, conflict could be differences, difference of opinion, conflicting thought process. Feud, it's a prolonged fight. Yeah, probably family feud. You and your neighbors, you've not got on well since the day you've started living together, side by side. So that's a feud. And then you've got a fight. Now, here, a quarrel, once again, is mostly something that happens verbally. Yeah, but combat is something that involves physical fight, um, something at war. So, what happens here is a fight. It's not a quarrel, it's not a feud, it's not a conflict, it's a fight. Correct answer here is option 4, fight. Okay. Uh, Now let's look at the last question, which is we have to write to an applicant informing him about the postponement of his interview date. This is for 4 marks. Here it is. We'll begin with the address of the recipient, the address of the company, and the date. Then you write down the subject line, rescheduling your interview at company, and Job title, you'll have to write down the position. You'd begin with dear candidate. I'm writing to inform you that unfortunately you will need to reschedule our interview for the open position that we had set up for. Date and time of interview, like here's an example, December 15th at 11:15 a.m. You may have scheduled it at that point in time, but now we are postponing it. Then we give the reason in the next line. Example, our hiring manager will be unavailable for some time. Or you could say that the company is because of COVID-19, a lot of places were shutting down for a couple of days if few cases did turn out to be positive, or they wanted to get everything sanitized. So maybe the reason could be any that you can think of, except for don't say that the entire company's people at company are not well or something that sort. It's not an application for leave. It is not an individual who is writing it. We have to think it from the point of view of a company. Why would they postpone an interview that was already scheduled? Then we suggest a possible date and time for the interview, or let the candidate know when they will hear back from you. Like, as we are currently unaware when our hiring manager will be back to work, I am unable to suggest a possible date and time for your interview. We expect to hear back from her in the next few days, and I will reach out to you personally with the updated information so that we can select a date and time for you to come into the office. Here, if you wish, you can elaborate. A hiring manager will be unavailable for some time due to some personal issues. That's okay. Please accept my sincerest apologies. Now, let's say an interviewee would have cancelled the interview scheduled, and what if he may had applied for rescheduling it? You would expect him to apologize, right? Because you've planned it, you've already thought of it, you've spent time and energy thinking about it. So you also need to apologize for the delay and any inconvenience. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to reach out to me via email or phone. Thank you for your patience. You write down your name, you write down the designation, the company's name, and your contact details. Because this is a letter, it won't have an email. So you will have to specifically write down your mail ID and your phone number. So with this, we come to the conclusion of the paper on BCR. Feel free to ask any doubts that you've had. And I hope for the best for all of us. Yeah, take care. Thank you.